Hello everyone, now we are on to Heat C of Rookie Bots. After this is Heat D, then the Rookie Bots final, to see who gets into Season 3. The bots in this heat competing are Heatwave, Gold Bar, Cloud, Eradicator, Bear, and Retrograde. Let's kick off this heat and see who our first fight is between. It looks like our first fight is between Retrograde and Eradicator. Eradicator is built by Killerfish Battlebots, and Retrograde is from the real Battlebots shows. It's not really made by any creator. And so, if Eradicator can really do some solid damage to that front of Retrograde, they could easily win this fight with that very long horizontal spinner. But that horizontal spinner is not the most reliable, because it can break off due to its fragility. But Retrograde is also pretty fragile and has reliability issues. So let's see who can win this fight and who can get the first win of the heat down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And it looks like Eradicator gets the first shot on Retrograde here. Great job by Eradicator using that spinner pointed at Retrograde. But Retrograde can withstand the shots because of that lifter. The lifter can get under it because Eradicator can't really self-right. So that might benefit Retrograde in this fight. Great shot by Eradicator. Eradicator landing some solid damage. But they're going to have to outlast Retrograde, which is going to be hard for them to do. They don't have the they have the reliability, but they don't have the weapon power to really knock out Retrograde. And Retrograde is outlasted, and there goes part of the spinner of Eradicator. That is not good. And now Eradicator's on their back and out of the arena. Knockout. Eradicator had a few really good shots and really just kept landing those shots, and even took off one of the forks of Retrograde in the process. But like I said, they never really could outlast Retrograde, and Retrograde just waited for that spinner to break and used that weapon reliability against it, and got him on its back. Eradicator on its back, and then eventually threw Eradicator out of the arena for the first win of the heat. Great win by Retrograde to take down Eradicator. They now move to 1-0, and Eradicator is now sitting at 0-1. Let's move on to our next fight. It looks like our next fight is between the Bear and Heatwave. Bear is built by Lord Vestic, and Heatwave is built by Bet's team Heatwave. And so Heatwave has very long forks, which can really help him get under Bear. But those forks are very fragile, and Heatwave has reliability issues. So, and as for Bear, they're very compacted, and so they can really outlast Heatwave in this fight and really take control. Because once those forks break off of Heatwave, Heatwave does not have any other ground game lying beneath it. So once Bear breaks those off, they could really take control if they ever can. Let's see who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And it looks like Bear is getting under Heatwave easily, breaking off two of the forks already. Two of those longer forks on the outside of Heatwave. And they get under Heatwave once again. Those forks are not lasting very long. But now they get under Bear. Great job by Heatwave. Heatwave now having to take control of Bear. Great control by Heatwave. They have to keep those forks on, because they have to keep taking control. Because the more they can get under Bear, the more they can win this fight. Now Bear gets under, not good for Heatwave there. And Bear gets under once again. Great job by Bear there, but now Heatwave gets under that last fork they have. And they get under again. They're using that last fork to really get under Bear, which is a great use for them. But they have to have the knockout power to knock out Bear here, because Bear can outlast them any day. And so they have to get Bear out of the arena. And they do. Bear really had control at the start. They got off 2 of the outside forks of Heatwave. It was great control by Bear. But then those 2 little forks stayed on for a while longer and got under Bear and used those 2 forks to control Bear around the arena. Great job by Heatwave, did a great job by that. But Bear got one of the other forks off, and it was just 1 fork left. All they had to do was that last fork off to really take control. But Heatwave never really let them do that, and they really used those screws and got Bear out of the arena for the first win of the heat. Great win by Heatwave. They just took down Bear. And now Retrograde and Heatwave are sitting at the top of this heat so far. And our next fight is between Gold Bar and Cloud. Up next we have Gold Bar and Cloud. Gold Bar is built by XX, Honic, Plays, and Cloud is built by Shy Guy. And so for Gold Bar, they are inspired by Ghost Raptor with that overhead spinner they have. And Cloud is not only inspired by any other bot, but they have a back wedge which could really be useful in this heat. And especially this fight, if they can really use that to their advantage. Because it's much lower than most other bots. And so for Gold Bar to win this fight, they really need to use that spinner and use some of that ground game they have to really get under Cloud. But Cloud uses that back wedge, they could really cause some trouble for Gold Bar. Let's see who gets the win and who takes home a 3rd win in this heat. Let's find out right now. Let the bot battle begin. And it's looking like Gold Bar is using that spinner really well, but now Cloud realizes they need to turn to their back, and they do. And Gold Bar gets Cloud on his back. Cloud can drive inverted, so that's nice for Cloud. Even though those wheels don't touch the ground, they are able to drive upside down. And good job by Gold Bar to get under, but now Cloud gets the back of Gold Bar. That is not good. And Cloud trying to do some real damage, but Gold Bar trying to do some more damage too. And now he's not trying to use that spinner to get under with that little lifter they have, like Ghost Raptor. And so, if they can really do some damage here, Gold Bar can win this fight, but not much going on. And good job by using the screws for Gold Bar. Gold Bar now using that side area to get under Cloud, and they get on one of the areas where the ground meets the screws, but that's one of the areas where they hold the screws in, and they are not on the side anymore because Gold Bar helps them down with bad swings by Gold Bar, because they could have won this fight already, but Cloud is not able to get under, and Gold Bar consistently controlling Cloud around using those outer forks. Great job by Gold Bar. They take control to win this fight, and they get a really good shot, and another. They're starting to land some brutal shots on Cloud, and Cloud doesn't have the weapon, but they have that back wedge, Bad choice by Gold Bar to go to the back wedge. And now they know it's lower. Cloud knows it's lower. And they're going to use that to their advantage. This is not good for Gold Bar. Gold Bar back right side up. They want to be. Gets Cloud right back on its back. This is a great use of the screws by Gold Bar. But Cloud's going to have to find a response. So far they have not really been able to. And they destroy Gold Bar in pieces with that back wedge. And it looks like this fight is going to be over.
10,
the countdown
9,
has started.
8,
and what a
7,
comeback win
6,
by Cloud.
5,
they will
4,
advance
3,
to our third
2,
1-0 bot in this
knockout.
heat. Gold Bar had some really good exchanges in this fight. Besides those first couple shots, they didn't think Cloud's back wedge would really come into play, which was really their fault. Because if they really thought that was going to come into play more, they could have really altered their decision. But since Cloud used that front mostly, they consistently got under Cloud and used those outer wedges to really control this fight and used the screws a ton, which really helped Gold Bar. And Gold Bar really helped Cloud down from those bad situations they were in, which really led to Gold Bar's downfall, because they could have left them there and took home the win many times. And Gold Bar even tried to the back wedge, but that didn't really work because Cloud got under them and really toyed with them for a little while, which really didn't help Gold Bar in any case. And it really helped Cloud because Cloud knew that they could get under that back wedge, and they consistently did when they used that back wedge, which really helped Cloud in a lot of ways. And so in the end, it was Cloud taking the win and splitting Gold Bar into multiple pieces to get the win. Great win by Cloud. Great win by Cloud to round out the first round of fights. Now we move on to see who begins with the second round of fights for this heat. Up next we have Heatwave and Eradicator. Eradicator lost to Retrograde in their first fight, and Heatwave beats Bear with only one fork left. So now they're taking on each other, where Eradicator could easily win this fight because they have that powerful spinner. And if that powerful spinner of Eradicator stays on and stays alive, they could really do some damage to those forks and really do damage to that frame of Heatwave. And Heatwave are going to have to find a way to respond and keep those forks intact. And so this could be a very interesting fight and a very close fight. But let's see who gets the win and who advances to either 1-1 or 2-0 in this heat down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. It looks like Heatwave's gonna get under. And there goes one of the forks of Heatwave already. That's not a good start. And there goes two forks. One of the inner forks too. That is not good for Heatwave at all. And there goes a third fork already. Eradicator chipping away at those forks. Like I said earlier, that's not good for Heatwave at all. Heatwave has to get the knockout here early to beat Eradicator here to go to 2-0. It looks like that's not going to happen because they're just waiting for Eradicator to get off the screws. They need to get Eradicator out of the arena to win this fight, or they're going to have no chance. And there goes the last fork. This is not good. This is do or die for Heatwave now. And they split in half. Those reliability issues come back to haunt Heatwave. And Eradicator will get the win. And the countdown has started.
9, 8,
Eradicator will go
7,
to 1-1 in this
5,
heat, while Heatwave falls to 1-1.
1. Knockout.
Great win by Eradicator. Eradicator did a great job breaking off those forks early of Heatwave. And like the first 3 shots, 2 of them were already gone, which really helped Eradicator in a lot of cases, because Heatwave couldn't do much without those forks. That last fork, they kept getting Eradicator onto the screws, but they kept waiting for them, which really didn't help. And then that last fork came off, and that reliability of Heart and Eradicator took home the win. Great job by Eradicator.
Nice.
Great win by Eradicator. They now move to 1-1, while Heatwave moves down to 1-1 in this heat. And we'll have to see who's up next in this heat of the second round of fights. Now we have a Retrograde and Gold Bar. Retrograde took home the win against Eradicator, and Gold Bar lost a close one to Cloud. And so Retrograde, they want to be able to get under with that lifter and those very small forks against Gold Bar. But Gold Bar, all they need to do is get under a couple times with those outer forks and do some damage with that spinner to break off those other forks that are helping that lifter get under bots, so they can really take control. And so it's all going to matter about ground game and who can get under who, and who has the better form of weapon. Let's find out who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin, and it's looking like Gold Bar doing some damage to Retrograde. Great job by Gold Bar here. But now Retrograde gets under. Not good for Gold Bar here. Gold Bar needs to find a way to really take control of this fight. And another good shot by Gold Bar here. That spinner is not doing much damage to Retrograde. Retrograde trying to find ways to get under Gold Bar, and they're doing so. Gold Bar using that spinner, but not really effective. And Retrograde not really gets under. But Gold Bar really not finding a way to counter back here. They're landing good shots, but they're not landing hard enough shots to really break off any of those forks, which is not helpful for Gold Bar here. Now, Gold Bar gets Retrograde in the screws. Great job by Gold Bar here. But they need to get Retrograde out of the arena to win this fight. But they're not doing so. And they'll keep getting in the screws, but if Retrograde keeps this up, they could win this fight. They just need to keep getting under. Both of those forks now are gone of Retrograde. That's good for Gold Bar though. And they're landing more and more severe shots to Retrograde. And Retrograde finding ways to get under still, but not as effectively. And Gold Bar now really gets under, slams them to the screws, and going back on the attack more. Great job by Gold Bar here. They're really starting to take control of this fight. But now Retrograde fighting back and getting under, almost throwing Gold Bar out of the arena, and they're trying to, but it's not working. And Gold Bar on its head can self-right with that little lifter they have, and this fight is over. Gold Bar took very big blows in this fight. Retrograde using that control to their advantage, and Gold Bar using that weapon power they have to their advantage as well. But Gold Bar does not have a really good weapon damage because Retrograde kept getting under and landing some great lifts. But Gold Bar found some answers back to really find a way to get under Retrograde and took off both of those forks, which in the long run really helped in more ways than one. And Retrograde after those forks were gone, they kept getting under a little bit, not as much and not more as effectively as they were before. And Gold Bar got under, ran them into the screws, and eventually threw Retrograde out of the arena for a win, and advanced to 1-1 in this heat, and as Retrograde falls to 1-1 in the heat. Great win by Gold Bar. Great win by Gold Bar. They now go to 1-1 while Retrograde falls to 1-1. And so we'll now have to see who wins our last fight and the second round of fights before we move to the third round of fights between Cloud and Bear. Now we have Cloud and Bear. Cloud taking their first win against Gold Bar, and Bear taking their first loss to Heatwave. And so for Cloud to win this fight, they need that back wedge like they did against Gold Bar, but Bear just needs to use up front and just put Cloud in the screws multiple times. And if Bear's lower, they're just gonna toy with Cloud here, and Cloud can't do anything about it. But if Cloud's a lower bot, they could really cause havoc for Bear and cause them to get their second loss. Let's find out who gets the win down in the pits. So over there, right now. Let the bot battle begin. It's looking like Bear's gonna get under and get on the back wedge. And putting Cloud in the screws. Bear now getting under Cloud. That's not good for Cloud. Cloud needs to find a way to get under Bear. Well, this is gonna be not good for Cloud at all. And Bear getting under consistently and causing havoc for Cloud. Bear just waiting for Cloud to get off the screws, because Bear can keep this fight going, because they know that they're the lower bot, so they can just keep toying with Cloud, and Cloud needs to find a way to get under so they can really end Bear's run. But Bear's getting under once again, and now that spinner is jammed in Bear's, so Bear can't lower that jaw. It's not good, but now Bear gets Cloud in the screws once again. Cloud is not the lower bot. That wedge does not fully touch the ground, and Bear is the lower machine. But now Cloud gets to the side and gets under Bear there, but Cloud can't do anything with it, and now Bear gets under once again. Bear consistently getting under, not putting Cloud back. This is not good for Cloud at all, and if Bear can keep this up, they could win this fight. And Bear is just continuing to get under Cloud, and they're really just toying with Cloud at this point. And Cloud can't really do much about it. And a great shot by Bear here. Cloud now on its side, has to somehow get down. This could be the end of the fight right here. But Cloud kind of helping him. Cloud not doing anything, but Bear kind of helping them. Excuse me. And Bear could
10,
easily win this fight.
9,
Looks like the countdown's gonna
8,
begin soon here.
7.
But they get down, and this fight is still happening, and now this fight is over.
Knockout.
Once Bear found out they were the lower bot, they just toyed with Cloud, and they consistently got under, putting Cloud in the screws multiple times, and really just did not care what Cloud was trying to do with that back wedge or that front, because they just put him in the screws. And eventually it really worked out for Bear, because despite some hiccups, they got Cloud out of the arena in the end. But Cloud found some ways to jam up that jaw from closing, which can be helpful for bots in the future. But as for now, Bear goes to 1-1 as Cloud falls to 1-1. And looks like this heat will be very even, so anybody can still win this heat. But great win by Bear as they move on to 1-1 and wait for their next opponent. Great win by Bear, which now leaves us this heat wide open as Gold Bar is 1-1, Bear is 1-1, Cloud is 1-1, Retrograde is 1-1, Eradicator is 1-1, and Heatwave is 1-1. Well, now let's move on to the third round of fights. Now we have Cloud and Heatwave. Heatwave took an L against Eradicator, and Cloud took an L against Bear. And so, whoever wins this fight will go to 2-1 in this heat, and the loser will go to 1-2. And so both bots do not want to be them. And all Cloud needs to do is get those forks out of the way, and Heatwave needs to keep the forks attached and use that front to get under Cloud and hope that back wedge doesn't come into play or not lower than their front. So they just need to get those forks into play and get the win. Let's find out who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin, and it's looking like Heatwave is gonna get under Cloud and do some great damage, and another job. But Cloud can absorb the shot, not like Heatwave can. Heatwave is gonna falter any chance they get here. But Heatwave so far doing a great job. But now when the fork comes off, that's already good for Cloud because they just need to chip away at those forks because they have the reliability to handle Heatwave. And Heatwave needs to keep the forks attached, which they're doing okay so far. But Cloud can keep trying to chip away at those forks. If they can do that, they can win this fight. And more shots Heatwave lays off. And there goes another fork of Heatwaves. This is not good. And Cloud trying to find an answer back here. But Cloud is not doing that so far. But that wasn't the third to fourth fork off of Heatwave. Now Cloud has mostly control. They just need to get under Heatwave and really land some nice shots. And there goes the last fork. Heatwave's out of forks, and Cloud can get under now. And this fight is over. Heatwave did a great job for how long they lasted. They used those forks to perfection. And for Cloud's case, they just chipped away at those forks, which really helped them in this case. And Heatwave just couldn't keep those forks on long enough. If they could have really dominated Cloud more often. But they didn't have the reliability of those forks to really make up for that weapon for Heatwave. And Cloud did, and they were a lot heavier than Heatwave. So they just took out those forks with that spinner for Cloud, and which really got Cloud the win here. And eventually used that back wedge to throw Heatwave out of the arena to get their second win of the heat. Great win by Cloud. Great job by Cloud. Going now to 2-1 in the heat, while Heatwave falls to 1-2 in the heat. Now we'll have to see who our next match in the third round of fights is between. Looks like up next we have Eradicator and Gold Bar. Eradicator beating Heatwave in their last fight, while Gold Bar, I believe they beat Retrograde in their last fight, if I'm correct. And Eradicator this is going to be a very interesting fight because Eradicator and Gold Bar have both horizontal spinners, So it'll be basically a battle of the horizontals. And so for Eradicator, they need to somehow be able to have a more powerful weapon and rip off those forks. There's not much Eradicator can do, but they're gonna have to certainly try. And for Gold Bar, they just need to control this fight. And they need to toss around Eradicator. But it could easily come down to the end. Let's find out who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And some great shots by Gold Bar to start off. This is going to be a very interesting matchup to see who can win this fight. And there goes the spinner of Eradicator already. This is not good for that primary weapon of Eradicator. Now Heatwave, I meant to say, Gold Bar can now get under, and Gold Bar puts Eradicator on their back, and Eradicator is almost out of the arena, and the fight's over. Gold Bar got under, waited for that spinner to break, was the first 2 or 3 shots in this fight, and then immediately went to work putting Eradicator on the squares, and then throwing Eradicator out of the arena. Great win by Gold Bar as they advance to 2-1 in this heat. And takes a dominant win over Eradicator. And now Cloud and Gold Bar set at the top of this heat, while Heatwave and Eradicator are set at the bottom of the heat. And we'll have to see who goes to 2-1 and who goes to 1-2 in our next match between Bear and Retrograde to end out the 3rd round of fights. Next we have Bear and Retrograde. Bear, I believe, beating Cloud in their last fight, while Retrograde losing to Gold Bar. And so both of them are sitting at 1-1 in the heat, while Retrograde is sitting at 1-2 in their career because of that loss for the season 3 last spot fight between them and Titan. And so for Bear to win this fight, they just need to control around Retrograde and not let that lifter, not be able to let that jaw come down for Bear. And if Retrograde could somehow do that, they could honestly win this fight, because that lifter is long enough to jam Bear. And so this could really come down to who has the better ground game, and if that lifter is long enough for Retrograde to win this fight. Let's see who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. Looking like Bear is going to get under first. Great job by Bear getting under Retrograde here. Retrograde will have to jam that lifter into between where that bottom of the bot meets the jaw. So they do that there, but now Retrograde trying to do it again, and they do. And Retrograde takes him and almost throws him out of the arena. Great job by Retrograde. They're really using the advantage. And Bear letting him do it, which is not good for Bear. And this fight over. What a great fight by Bear. They started out controlling this fight, putting Retrograde in the screws. But Retrograde really found a solution. And yes, that lifter is long enough to get between that body and that jaw of Bear and throwing Bear out of the arena. Great win by Retrograde. Now that the 3rd round of fights has concluded, with Retrograde, Cloud, and Gold Bar all sitting at 2-1, and Eradicator, Bear, and Heatwave all sitting at 1-2. Now let's begin the 4th round of fights. To begin the 4th round of fights, we now have Eradicator and Cloud. Cloud beating Heatwave in their last fight. And Eradicator losing to Gold Bar. So Eradicator needs to find a way to get a win against Cloud here. And Cloud, all we have to do is win this fight, and they're in a great position in this heat. So we'll be sitting at 3-1. And so if they win this fight, this would be a great position for them. For Eradicator, this would put them towards the bottom of the heat, so they want to win this fight to stay in it. And so it's going to be a very interesting fight to see who has the better horizontal spinner. Let's find out who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin, and it's looking like more of a stalemate to start up this fight. And both bots using their spinner, trying to get a nice shot by Cloud there. Coming in the back wedge. This is started with, and now getting under Eradicator with that back wedge. Great job by Cloud. And that spinner when they need to. Cloud doing a good job with that weapon and that wedge. And using that spinner. Eradicator can't really self-select a regular weapon there. But they continue to fight. And Eradicator cannot do much here against Cloud. And Cloud using that weapon, trying to put Eradicator on the screws. And now Cloud uses that back wedge to put Eradicator on the screws. And Eradicator is on the screws. Now on to where the screws are held by a black middle piece. And Eradicator looks like they're stuck. They're stuck, looks like. And I don't think they can get off. And looks like Cloud's gonna leave them there to hit a couple more shots. And they're gonna try
10,
to win this fight here.
9, 8.
And it's
7,
the countdown I think it has
6,
begun. And looking
5,
like Cloud will
4,
win this fight and move to 3-1, while
2,
Eradicator falls to 1-3.
1. Knockout.
Great win by Cloud. At the start, it was a stalemate, but Cloud landed the first shot between spinner over spinner, and eventually we got back wedge to get Eradicator on their back and really start to take control of this fight and use that spinner when they needed to. Cloud looked like the more experienced spot, and Eradicator did not look like what they were doing, and so Cloud used that to their advantage as much as they could and really took home this win and got Eradicator on one of those black panel areas where it's holding the screws, and Eradicator couldn't get down, and they got counted out. Great win by Cloud as they move to 3-1. And Eradicator as they fall to 1-3. Great win by Cloud as they move to 3-1 in the heat. And Eradicator at 1-3, so they have to find a way to stay in this heat. And so now we'll have to see who is up next to continue the 4th round of fights. It's looking like up next we have Bear and Gold Bar. Bear needs a win here to stay in this heat. Well, they'll be towards the bottom, and Gold Bar needs to keep winning. They want one of the top seeds in this heat. And they're really going for a top 2 seed in this heat for Gold Bar. But for Bear, they just need to keep winning, and they want to at least to get to 3-2, because that's the best they can do. And Gold Bar wants to get to at least 4-1, and that's the best they can do. But they'll have to go through each other, and so one bot will not get what they want, and one bot might end up getting what they want. It's all going to be relied on ground game. Let's see who gets this win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And it's looking like they're trying to get under here, and they're doing a good job. They're doing a good job of getting under Gold Bar here, and Gold Bar is gonna have to find a way to fight back here. That overhead spinner, they might have to use that ground game more against Bear, because Bear is the lower bot, it seems. And Bear is continuing to be the lower bot and putting Gold Bar in the screws. Gold Bar needs to find another way. They're using a spinner to try to jam like Retrograde did, but that does not work. And Retrograde, I meant to say, Gold Bar struggling for answers, and Bear continuing to pour it on. Great shot by Bear once again, putting Gold Bar on their back area. And Bear continuing to take control. They're not putting Gold Bar in their screws once again. And Gold Bar is on their face. This is not good. And they're stuck in the screws. That's not good for Gold Bar at all. They're gonna have to come out and get out of the screws. And Bear is just waiting for them. Look at that spinner has come off of Gold Bar. This is not good. Gold Bar cannot self-right from that position. This is not good for Gold Bar. Looking like Bear will basically leave him there in that position. And looking like Bear will let the countdown start and get this win to move to 2-2 while sending Gold Bar to 2-2. Great job by Bear. Bear did an awesome job in this fight, using those screws to their advantage and really getting under Gold Bar. And Gold Bar never really found an answer to that wedge of Bear, and Bear used that and just kept getting under Gold Bar. And Gold Bar never did anything until Bear. It was just a control fest for Bear, and Bear did a really good job. Great win by Bear, and great domination as they used to put Gold Bar on their face and eventually took off that overhead spinner of Gold Bar. Great job by Bear as they move to 2-2, and as Gold Bar falls to 2-2 of their own. And what a great fight this was. Great win by Bear as they move to 2-2 in the heat, and Gold Bar moved down to 2-2. So now we'll see who wins between Heatwave and Retrograde. Now we have Heatwave and Retrograde. Retrograde sitting at 2-2 in its career and sitting 2-1 in the heat. And so they really want to win here to go to 3-1 and chance to play Cloud for the top spot in this heat, while Heatwave wants to keep staying in this heat because if they go 1-3 here, they'll have really fallen out of this heat. And so with them losing to Eradicator, that's really hurts our chances of getting a top 4 seed in this heat, because Eradicator now has the tiebreaker over them. And so Heatwave needs to get this win to really prove that they're a force to be reckoned with. But all Retrograde has to do is toy with them and get those forks off the front. Let's see who gets the win down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And Heatwave getting under Retrograde here. This is not good for Retrograde at all. Retrograde needs to find a way to get under Heatwave. Heatwave doing a great job and sitting back and relaxing. But now we're back into the attack with Heatwave. Heatwave doing a great job of keeping those forks intact as they need to every single fight, because those fights can change dramatically like it has in previous fights. Once those forks are gone of Heatwave, Heatwave has no chance of winning this fight. So while they're doing a great job. And Retrograde trying to fight back here but they're not doing so. And there goes one of the forks of Retrograde, not Heatwave though, surprisingly. And there goes the other fork of Retrograde, but that lifter is in between those forks, and so those forks are just getting under. And now Retrograde finding a way to fight back here and getting under. And there goes one of the forks of Heatwave. Great job of Retrograde lifting up Heatwave and starting to take control here. And there goes another fork, but now both inner forks they had to deal with for Retrograde. Retrograde needs to get under, and they do. Now ramming Heatwave against the wall, and Heatwave trying to bounce back here a little bit and get some damage of their own that they need. They really need to knock out Retrograde before those forks come off, and Heatwave is on its back. They cannot self-right,
10,
and Retrograde
9,
will get him,
8,
let him taken out,
7,
get counted
6,
out, and
5,
looking like
4,
Retrograde will
3,
go to 3-1
2,
in the heat
1,
as Heatwave
knockout.
falls to 1-3. Great win by Retrograde. Heatwave dominated this fight to start. They just really got under Retrograde. Look at them, took both forks off Retrograde, but that in the end was kind of a mistake because eventually Retrograde found a way to use that against them and got between those forks and lift them up, breaking off those forks one by one, and then eventually getting under those middle forks and flipping Heatwave on his back to eventually let Heatwave getting counted out and them taking the win to really prove themselves that they can beat spinners. Great win by Retrograde. What a great come from behind win by Retrograde. Retrograde now sits with Cloud at the top of the heat at 3-1, while Bear and Gold Bar sit at 2-2, and Eradicator and Heatwave sit at 1-3. Now let's begin our fifth round, and our last round of fights for this heat. Now we have Eradicator and Bear. Eradicator sitting at 1-3, and Bear sitting at 2-2. So Eradicator wins. They still have a shot in this heat, but if Bear wins, Eradicator's chances are basically gone unless Heatwave beats Gold Bar. So for Eradicator, their chances that they lose this fight are basically gone. And so for Bear, they just need to control Eradicator like they've been doing against these horizontal spinners. And so that's how Bear can win this fight. Let's see who gets the win and who controls this fight down in the pits. Let's go over there right now. Let the bot battle begin, and it's looking like Bear's gonna get under and absorb those shots from Eradicator. Now hitting Eradicator in the screws. Good job by Bear. They're starting to really take control of this fight. Bear needs to keep winning this fight, and Eradicator needs to find a way to take advantage, but that's hard without any ground game against a fully linked ground game bot. And good job by Bear, so controlling this fight. They're taking control of Eradicator, and Eradicator almost out of the arena, trying to stay in, but Bear's not going to let him. And so Bear's trying to get Eradicator out of the arena, and Eradicator is still finding a way to get in with that back area, but Bear is not letting him escape. Great job by Bear here, not letting Eradicator escape, and this fight's over.
Knockout.
Bear just knew how to dominate this fight against Eradicator. They used every ounce of that weapon they could, getting Eradicator in this groove and pushing them all around as they could. And Eradicator never found an answer to that wedge of Bear. And Bear just kept pushing Eradicator all around. And in the end, it was all Bear getting Eradicator out of the arena using the screw, advancing to 3 and 2 in this heat, while Eradicator goes to 1 and 4. Great win by Bear. Now they move to 3 and 2 in the heat, and Eradicator gets it at 1 and 4. They basically have no chance at this heat at all. They are guaranteed a 5 or a 6 spot. And so now we will have to see who our next fight is between. Now we have Gold Bar and Heatwave. Gold Bar needs to win this fight to go 3 and 2 and to secure a spot in this heat. And if Heatwave wins this fight, they can have a chance at this heat still. So for Heatwave, this is a big game. This is a big chance for them to win, to get a 1 through 4 spot. But for Gold Bar, they need to win this fight to send Heatwave to Legends vs. Rookies. Let's see who has the battleground game down in the pits. Let's head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. And looking like Gold Bar is chipping away at those forks. Now getting under Heatwave here. Right job by Gold Bar. Letting off got 2 of those forks of Heatwave. Heatwave needs to find a response with only that one side left of forks. And Gold Bar is going to continue to chip away at those forks. Great job by Heatwave getting under Gold Bar there. But Gold Bar is a lot better than that to let you win this fight by getting under, because they know how to do that spinner wisely. And they know how to get great shots when it counts. And Heatwave needs to use his forks, and now there is another one gone. Now they have 1 fork left. But that's not going to really help them, because Gold Bar now gets to the side a little bit. And Heatwave's reliability comes back to haunt them for a second fight.
10,
and
9,
Gold Bar will
8,
let them get counted
7,
out.
6,
And Gold
5,
Bar will take this win
4,
and move to 3 and 2 in this heat,
1,
while sending
knockout.
Heatwave to 1 and 4. What a great win by Gold Bar. Gold Bar landed in the first shot one of those forks, middle forks off of Heatwave, which really set the tone of the fight. And they really knew how to win this fight, because it really showed. They continually got under besides a few hiccups, and they really knew how to take care of Heatwave's forks, and really did a great job. And as for Heatwave, relied apart once again, and Gold Bar didn't go back in for more, and let the countdown go. Great win by Gold Bar, as they now sit at 3 and 2 along with Bear. And as for Eradicator and Heatwave, they are completely eliminated. They will compete in Legends vs. Rookies. Now we have our last fight of the heat between Retrograde and Cloud. Now we have Cloud and Retrograde. Cloud needs this win to go 4 and 1, so does Retrograde. So the winner of this bot will get the win this heat. And so Retrograde has a better ground game here, but they don't have the better reliability, because Cloud has the better reliability of this fight. But it could really go either way. But it will come down to ground game. Let's see who can win this fight. down in the pits and who will win the heat. Let's go head over there right now. Let the bot battle begin. Looking like Cloud's getting the better shots, but Retrograde trying to fight back here, getting under Cloud here. Great job by Retrograde here, trying to really use those screws, and great job by Retrograde. They really want this win here to win this heat, and another great job by Retrograde. Retrograde doing a great job here, but Cloud fighting back. Cloud knows he can't leave the front to get under Retrograde, so they're using that back wedge, and they get off one of the forks of Retrograde. This is not good for Retrograde, and there goes both the forks now, and all Retrograde has is that spinner in the back and that lifter in front. But now Retrograde's on their side, and Cloud could leave them there if they wanted to try, but they're not going to, and they're going to keep the fight going. And they're trying to get Retrograde out of the arena here. It's not working. They might have to go with a different plan here, but they are not. And keeping Retrograde in the screws. Great job by Cloud here. And Cloud waiting for them to get back in so they can put back on the screws. Great job by Cloud here. Retrograde gonna fight back. And Cloud is being really smart with that back wedge. Really getting some great shots with that back wedge. And knowing to use that back wedge when it's time. And Retrograde finding ways to get to the side and the front. But Cloud is knowing how to do it better because they're really taking advantage and going to net a great shot there. Retrograde's gonna have to find a way to fight back, and they get Cloud on their back. What a back and forth fight this is so far. And almost out of the arena goes Cloud. Retrograde finding a way to fight back, but not enough because Cloud is controlling the tempo here. And a great shot by Cloud. Cloud controlling the tempo of this fight. And Retrograde not really fighting back here. And this fight's over.
Knockout.
These two bots never gave up. It was a battle until the end. Retrograde had a couple lifts, great lifts in there, but Cloud had some great shots of their own with that back wedge, and so it really was back and forth, and Retrograde had the chance to win it by putting Cloud almost in the screw game he wants, but Cloud really had the advantage of most of this fight, putting Retrograde in the screws at least 5 times, if not more, and really changing the tempo of this fight, knowing when to use that back wedge and that spinner. So Retrograde could have their confidence, and Cloud really knew when to switch up, and Cloud knew how to win this fight, like they've been here in Battlebots, Lego Battlebots before, and that, I guess that experience shows, even when they're new on this channel, they really could be a force to be reckoned with, even in the Rookie Bots final. And eventually, then they threw Retrograde out of the arena. What a great win by Cloud. Our final standings are Cloud at 4-1, Retrograde at 3-2, Bear at 3-2, Gold Bar at 3-2, Eradicator at 1-4, Heatwave at 1-4. As for Retrograde, Bear and Gold Bar, they all had tiebreakers over each other, so it was pretty controversial either way it was seeded. So I think the best possible seeding it could be National Eradicator and Heatwave. We will see them in Legends vs. Rookies, and for Cloud, they'll be with a 1-4 seed in the Rookie Bots final. And next time I see you, it will be Rookie Bots Heat D. See you in the next one. Bye.